Yo, what's up guys? Today I'm going to talk about a new game called Fellowship. I cover a lot of MMOs on this channel, and to me, the best part of an MMO is the end game. You get to the end, you start fighting through harder and harder dungeons and raids, bigger bosses, more mechanics, and you get loot. You get better gear, you get your tier sets, you progress your character further and further so that you can take on harder and harder challenges. But what if I told you there's a game just like that without any of the fluff? No leveling, no dailies, no reputation grind. You just go on a character, go in the dungeons, get gear, get stronger, and progress through harder and harder content. Well, that's Fellowship. Fellowship is a new game that just came into early access from Arc Games. And I've been following this game since I first heard about it. I've played the playtests, I've covered it on this channel before, and it's something that I hoped would be as good as it sounded. And let me tell you, after playing the early access, it is. So thank you so much for Arc Games for sponsoring this video. If you do like the sound of this and think it would be for you, there is a link down below to go check it out. But let's go straight into this, and we're going to talk, what is Fellowship? How does the progression work? What are the dungeons like? What are the characters like? And we'll talk about, is this game for you? So first up, I'm just going to jump straight in and show you what the world looks like, what the game looks like, and how the progression in the game works. And then we'll go through, the different classes. You can see them here. And we'll talk a bit more about the gameplay and how the actual combat works. So if I just jump on a character, okay, so this is the world of Fellowship. This is the stronghold, or the hero's rest, and this is where everyone hangs out. You can chat to people, you can form groups here, you can flex your mounts and your cosmetics and things like that. And this is where you do everything in the game. It's not just done through menus. You queue into your dungeons here. You come over here, you've got like cosmetics, you've got the leaderboards. Over here, you have like the upgrade stations. So you've got like the blacksmith, the scrapper, infuser, the gems, things like that. You've got your stash. And then you come around, you've got shops where you can spend like your tokens and the different things that you get from dungeons. And then there's like training dummies over there. So the game does feel, you do feel like you have a character in a world, and that you are actively a part of a MMO while you're growing your character, which is really nice. It's nice to come back here all the time, and you'll start seeing, people, and you can chat, and like your friends list will grow from doing dungeons with them and stuff like that. So I wanted to show that first because I was worried this was just going to feel like a lobby game, kind of like League or something like that, where you just constantly in a screen queuing in like that on your own. But it does feel very MMO-like, which I really like. So once you've done that, you are then queuing into dungeons. The way that works is dungeons are 4 players. You have tank, you have healer, and then you have 2 DPS. You click play up here, and you have the various modes here. You've got quick play, which is just you jump in, very easy, and you get a couple of basic supplies and marks and different tokens to hand in for different items. And then you have challenge. This is pretty much what the game is all about. This is where a lot of people are comparing this to Mythic Plus for this reason. You go through the different kind of levels of dungeons and you progress through them. I'll just go through and show you a few. So you start in contender, and you can see you have difficulty 1, and then they go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and at 7 there is like a capstone dungeon that you have to complete to progress to the next rank. So right now I'm in the next rank up, adept, and as you go through the different ranks, you will unlock new types of items, new rewards. And one thing that I really want to show before we get into the details of the characters and the dungeons and stuff like that is the group finder, because coming from World of Warcraft, I love Mythic Plus. I could do Mythic Plus back to back all day. However, the biggest friction is finding a group. You open the group finder, you apply to like 5 dungeons, you get declined for them all, and you get sad and you come off the game because you have no friends, right? We've all been there, right? But watch this. You press play. What you do is, I want to queue into adept because I'm trying to progress to champion. You click this thing here to say, I want to group with people who've completed the same sort of level as me and same sort of eye level as me. And you press find game. This is now searching for a game that, so say you were looking for like a +3, it would be searching now for dungeons in the +3 range, maybe like 2, 3, 4, that kind of thing. And I'll show you how fast this pops. We're in a dungeon. This was like, what, 10 seconds? Everyone's here. We either vote on 2, 3, or 4. Yeah, I really wanted to point that out first because it's something that surprised me. And I thought, coming like to a more indie game, the group finder is going to be really rough. Like they're going to have some real, maybe we're going to need like 4 friends to be even able to play, or maybe it's going to be like really long queues. I just wanted to show you that's how smooth it is. I wanted to get that out of the way before we move on to, the different characters and stuff. So let's do exactly that. Let's talk about the different characters, the roles, specializations, that kind of thing. Okay, so when it comes to characters, specs, builds, that kind of thing, there is some really good stuff here, and then there is some limiting stuff, and I'm going to be honest and talk about everything. So firstly, all you do is you click swap hero, and you can switch to any other hero in the game instantly. There's no leveling. There's no unlock requirements. You don't have to run a tutorial on any of these people. You don't have to, earn in-game widgets and unlock them with widgets. Everyone is available from the get-go easily, and nothing's locked behind a DLC, at least not right now, and not planned to be as far as I know. Everything is available once you have the game. So with that being said, what do we have? We've got 2 tanks, we've got 5 DPS, and we've got 2 healers. The good stuff here is you can be anyone you want, right? You can play as a large range of people. You have a tanky, a big heavy armor kind of character that throws their shield, that bounces around. You've got a monk tank that is more, managing different elements and managing different rotations. You have a good range of physical and melee. You've got like an ice mage. You've got this is my favorite character right now. It's like a starry archer, one of the new guys. You've got Adios, who's probably the guy I've played the second amount of time as well. He's like a dot management, plays very similar. It's like a warlock. You manage dots and then you burst those dots. You have a melee big hammer man. And then you have your typical rogue dual wielding purple daggers. And then you have the healers. You've got a nature healer that kind of grows plants and does butterflies. Not my cup of tea, but people love this character. There is a lot of these in game, and it's a very popular one. And then you have the holy paladin who kills people. So that's all your characters. There's like difficulty ranges as well, and some are harder than others. And generally, I think there's a very, very good range. The big limitation here that I want to be honest about, because it's going to put some people off, is it plays more like a hero selection than a character creator. I haven't made these characters. I haven't made this guy like a dark elf. I haven't made this person, a female with purple eyes, right? And there is no customization in that part. So it feels more like you're selecting a hero, and you can earn cosmetics and make your character look good. And the better the dungeons you complete, the cooler the cosmetics that you unlock. So there is good visual progression of your character, which I really like. However, there is no base character customization. So I wanted to talk about that. If that's a deal breaker for you, now you know, and I just wanted to make that clear. Personally, it doesn't bother me, but I know some people are not a fan of that. So that being said, let's jump onto a different character and talk about character specializations and progression. Okay, so let's talk about specializations, talents, and progressing your character in that way and having some like individuality in your character. So that you cannot change outside of your role. Firstly, if you are the big hammer warrior guy, you can't be a tank. If you're the nature person with the butterflies, you can't go and DPS with the character. You are a healer, right? So that's fixed. So it kind of works a bit like Final Fantasy XIV's jobs, in that you're locked to your role. However, there is a very large amount of customization within your role. So you have your gear for one, which you pick your stats. You have like tier sets, so you can specialize into different tier sets. And then this is what I really like. You have this thing here called rewards, and this is character bound. So when you make a new character, you're back at the start. And as you complete dungeons, so if you go along the left side, as you complete dungeons along here, you unlock your talent tree. So when you complete each dungeon, we'll unlock a new ability and you unlock talent points. So you can see here, these big red ones are new abilities. So as you progress down, you'll get all of your abilities, including your ultimate. And then, after like, I don't know, a couple of dungeons, 5 dungeons or something, you'll have all of your abilities. And then you start to get more talent points. And then at 16 dungeons, you'll get a big chunk of rewards to help you gear up. And then on the right side, you have other rewards. Think of this as like the beginner section. And then here is your progression rewards. So as you get your dungeon score up, so achieve a 600 dungeon score, achieve a 1000 dungeon score, you'll unlock additional talent points and additional gear, which is really cool. And then like you complete the capstone dungeon and you progress to adept, you then get another talent point, and then you get points again for increasing your dungeon score. Think of it like a Mythic Plus score. And again, you'll get more talent points. You'll get some cosmetics. Again, these are all like free in-game cosmetics. So there is definitely a lot of progression for your character. And I think this is really exciting to push yourself and want to progress all the way up to like endless mode, where you start getting like the really cool rewards. I mean, look at that, the giant spider mount and other mounts and really cool outfits, which is good. And then you have your talents here. And this is your talent tree. So very early on, you will unlock like the whole tree. And I'm not covering anything, it goes to 6. So very early on, you will unlock the whole tree. And then the more dungeons you complete, here's the dungeon tab. You can see here's all the different dungeons. And as you complete them on a higher level, you will get increased score. And then your total score is here. As you progress more and more, you'll unlock more talent points. And then you can spend that to make the character how you want to make it. For example, this character here places dots on enemies. One of the coolest ones he does is he can summon an army of frogs, and these frogs will jump around the enemies and deal fire damage, right? You can specialize into frog squad. You can go into Pyrophibian Frenzy, and you can go all in on like generating more frogs. You can go into, say, your Fireball and Flare Up and that kind of build. You can go into more of an AoE build, more of a single target build, focus heavily on burst, and that is really, really exciting. Is there going to be a meta, and is it going to be like, once you're at the very, very end, you need to run this? Probably, right? Every single game will have a best build for da-da-da-da-da. But playing it and progressing through feels very, very, very fun. And when I get another point, being able to select another option here is going to feel really fun. So that's how you progress your character. I hope that explains it a little bit, because I was a little concerned when I saw the hero selection page that you pick a character and that's it. Everyone's the same. You have no customization and you're very like locked in. That is not the case. And I wanted to explain that. You also have like extra abilities that come from like weapon abilities. You have trinket abilities, things like that. So there's definitely a lot of customization that you might not see until you get into the game. Okay, now let's talk about the dungeons and the combat, because all of this would be pointless. It would all just be a pointless conversation if the combat sucked. If this played like a phone game and there was no depth to the combat, it wouldn't even be worth talking about, because this is a purely dungeon-focused game. Well, let me tell you, that is not the case. The combat is challenging, the AI is hard, and when you get into those high difficulties, it really steps up. So when it comes to dungeons, I believe there are 2 types of dungeons. There are 8 of the basic dungeons. These are like 10 to 15 minute dungeons, and they're like a pool of mobs, and there's a boss at the end. Each of them have their own individual boss and own, aesthetic, mob type, all of that sort of stuff. And then there are the capstone dungeons, and there are 4 of those, and they're more like 30-minute dungeons. They're bigger, a lot more mobs, like trash to get through, and then 3 big bosses to go through. The way it works is, I've already mentioned it, but you would do loads and loads of the basic dungeons, and then when you're ready to progress to the next tier, you would do the big capstone dungeon. You can also repeat the capstone dungeon for gear and to progress your gear and your character and to get materials. So that's the dungeon pool. Now let's talk the combat. And I'd say it holds up to what you've seen before in the MMO genre. You have affixes, you have different, mobs that do different things. Some have AoEs, cleaves, dots, magic effects. It's pretty much, if you've played like a big endgame, if you've played any sort of endgame raiding or endgame dungeon pushing where you have increasing challenge, you'll be very, very familiar with this. As you progress into the different tiers, the different ranks, I guess, they also have, the mobs have new moves. So they keep you on your toes. A boss will do something new. So for example, maybe in the first phase, he's doing an AoE. In the second phase, in the next tier, maybe that AoE, he'll also spawn ads that drag you into the AoE if they're not burned down fast enough. When you have like a pack of mobs in the first tier, like in Contender, maybe that pack of mobs will just do the basic, basic attacks. And then you move in, maybe they'll start adding a bleed, things like that. And as you progress, it gets harder and harder, which is really exciting, because on top of that, everything scales. Pretty much everything you've seen in the genre is here. I would say one thing this game does really well is a lot of the stuff that other games are struggling to track, and they rely heavily on add-ons. Currently right now, WoW has this big drama with add-ons, of they're removing add-ons to make their own, and what's coming out isn't looking very sharp. What I would say in this game is managing it better, if not as good as the add-ons do. Right now you have like damage meters, you can have healing meters, you can track the kicks. You can also do this thing where you can press, I think it's V on a boss or a mob, and your face will appear next to the mob, and that will have a cooldown of your interrupt. So if you have like 3 people that all have an interrupt, you'd all press V on a boss, and then all of your pictures would appear near the boss, and you can see who has an interrupt off cooldown. As well, you can then rotate your ultimates around the different abilities, which is such a good quality of life that you would normally rely on like some really advanced add-on to pull in for you. And that's things like that are just baked into the game. And that's just one example. They just focus on the end game, and you can tell there is a polish and a sharpness here that I really have been surprised by. Okay, now let's talk about, is the game for you? Should you play Fellowship? And I'm going to be honest, you can already tell I really like the game. I've followed this game for a long time, and I'll support it. I really like it, and I would definitely recommend it. But it's not for everybody, and I want to make sure if it's not for you, you know about it, because I don't want people to be disappointed. So who's this game for and who's it not for? When it comes to an MMO, what do you like doing? Do you log on? Do you like going around the open world? Do you like gathering, crafting, doing reputations and like doing dailies and trying to build up your reputation every day? Do you like the collectibles and that sort of stuff? Do you like the more casual part of an MMO? If the answer is yes, and that's what you are drawn to and that's what you play MMOs for, That's not in this game. This is not a game with that side of the MMO genre, and don't let anyone fool you into thinking this is for you, right? Because this is for people who like the end game progression. They like Mythic Plus dungeons, raiding, things like that. If you come from like Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft, Guild Wars, those kind of games where you do a lot of end game content and you love it, you thrive in it, you enjoy it, this is for you. There is a casual side to this. There's a quick play, there's there's low ranks, and there's lots of, if you don't push super hardcore in those games, there is the more casual side of that end game here, and it's a lot of fun. There's no friction on alts. You can just switch. If you like playing alts, you can just switch to all the different characters. You can play them all. You can get the cosmetics, get all your skills very easily. You just complete 16 dungeons and you have all of your abilities. So you can play all of the characters at a low level if you want. And then if you want to progress really hard, this game will reward you in that. If you like pushing Mythic Plus, getting Keystone Master, if you like trying to do the raids on higher difficulties, you like gearing your characters, min-maxing, getting your tier sets, finding the best builds, there is so much enjoyment here and the content is so polished. That is why I think the people will like this the most. So I just wanted to make that clear. I think another really good audience is if you like ARPGs. I make a lot of videos about ARPGs, and I'm a big fan of ARPGs because I want to spend time in combat. I want to challenge myself, I want to progress my character, and I just want to click a button and just go into combat. That's why I love ARPGs, and that's why I play them so much. And I'm going to be honest, I think you'll like this. I think you'll like this. You click a button, you're in a dungeon, you click, there's no, oh, I've got to get through a story. How does a story take? Oh, well, there's 3 expansions. There's none of that. There's none of that. There's no dailies. There's no, oh, I need to go and collect Baba Stones and da-da. It's just in combat, out, get an upgrade, go back in. So if you like that sort of thing, I think you'll love this. But that's it for me. I'm gonna wrap it up here. If you do like the sound of this and you want to try it, there is a link down below to go and grab it. Early access on Steam. That would, I'd appreciate that. But either way, let me know what you think. If you've played it, let me know your thoughts on this. If you are on the fence, I'm happy to answer any questions. And other than that, I hope you enjoyed the game. So thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.